Hey guys, welcome to W&L Review. Today we are reviewing one movie, and that movie is Coraline. It is a 2009 animated movie. It is rated PG-13. It is directed by Henry Selick, and it stars Dakota Fanning, Terry Hatcher, John Hodgman, Ian McShane, and Keith David. And it is based on the book with the same name. And with that, I will let my daughter tell you about the movie.
So Coraline starts off with Coraline and her family moving into this new home. However, this isn't like a normal home. It's like a mansion, the Pink Mansion, that's divided into, 3 homes. And
residences, yeah.
Yeah. And it goes, and she's not a huge fan of the new house. She misses her friends. It's not as interesting as her old place, and she's really sad. And she goes out, and she gets the stick, and she is doing what's called water witching. And she's looking for water. Because she heard that there was a well around that area. And she ends up meeting one of the other characters, Wybie. And they kind of become friends-ish. She's not the biggest fan of him at first.
Maybe?
Yeah, more of a frenemy at first. And the story goes on, and he ends up telling her, that's dowsing rod of yours. It's a poison oak. And so she's like, that's not good. And then she goes home, and she tells her mom everything that happened. And Wybie ended up sending her this gift that he found in his house. And he lives with his grandma, and he found it, and it's this little doll that looks exactly like Coraline. And she's like, that's really weird. And so she's bored, and she's messing around the house, and sorry, things are moving back here. And she goes to her dad, and she's
We're not even talking a spooky movie, but
yeah. And she goes to her dad, and she's like, Dad, I want to go out and do some gardening. And he's like, it's pouring outside, isn't it? And she's like, well, yeah. And he asks what her mom thinks, and she, of course, tells him that her mom doesn't approve, and he's like, well, then you don't need to do that. And he tells her to go do something, just like count all the doors and windows, write down everything that's blue, just like leave me alone so he can work. And so she goes, and she's counting all the doors and windows, and she's really bored, and she finds this little door, and she's kind of confused by it. And so she then annoys her mom so that her mom will open it for her, because she needs like a key to open it. Her mom finds this weird shaped key in the drawer full of keys and unlocks it, but it's all bricked up. And she's like, well, why? And her mom said it must have been when they were dividing up the house. And so the story goes on, and they eat dinner, and Coraline goes to bed, and she wakes up in the middle of the night, and she sees this mouse under her bed, and then it runs out. And so she's following it, because she's like, where did this mouse come from? And it leads her to the little door, which now has like this weird blue hallway that she crawls through. And when she gets to the other side, it's still like her living room area. But, like, there's all furniture in it. Like, it's not like they just moved in. There's things there. And she hears her mom humming. And so she goes into the kitchen. And she thinks, she's like, why are you cooking in the middle of the night? And then her mom turns around, and it's not her mom. Well, not really. It looks like her mom, but with buttons for eyes.
Her other mother.
Yes, her other mother. And she's like, the other mother says, you're just in time for supper. And she, like, talks to Coraline like Coraline is her daughter, and Coraline's like, you're not my mom. My mom doesn't have buttons for eyes. And she's like, oh, I'm your other mother, silly. And she tells her to go tell her other father that dinner's ready. And so she goes in, and her dad's playing the piano, and she's like, my dad doesn't play piano. And he says, I don't need to. The piano plays me. And, like, these gloves that have, this, mechanism attached to them come out and, like, grab his hands and start playing the piano for him. And he starts making up this song about Coraline. And then they go and eat dinner, and it's, like, everything that Coraline loves, and she's like, the other mother asks her for things that she wants, and she says, do you want anything to drink? And Coraline says, how about a mango milkshake? And then from the chandelier drops down, and it's like this milkshake dispenser, and she drinks it, and then the other mother comes out with this cake that says welcome home, and Coraline's kind of confused, because she's like, this is weird. And the story goes on. Coraline goes to bed in this other home, and wakes up the next morning in her home. And she's telling her parents about it all, and they're like, this isn't real. And her mom says, go down and talk to Miss Fink and Forcible about it. And Coraline says, but you said they're dingbats. And her mom responds with, mm-hmm. Implying that, yeah, you sound like a dingbat right now. So she goes down and she talks to them, and they offer to read her tea leaves. And one of them sees a very creepy hand, and the other one sees a giraffe. And so they're like, either you're in danger, or there's a tall, handsome beast in your future.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. She just doesn't know what to think about it. So then she goes back out and she sees Wybie again. And he's looking for, these banana slugs. Mm-hmm. And she's introduced to the cat. Wybie's cat. Kind of a feral cat, but not really, because Wybie feeds the cat and all. But she goes to bed again that night, and she leaves out a little bit of cheese, hoping that the mouse would come back, so that she could go through the little door. And sure enough, she did, and she goes, and, she is introduced to this whole garden that her other father made, and it's like amazing and beautiful, and it's really, really, really cool looking. I liked it.
Well, it was Coraline.
Yeah,
and flowers.
And she has dinner again, and everything's great, and she goes to bed again, and in this other home, and wakes up the next morning, and she tells her mom about it again, and she's like, the other mother is so great. And the story goes on. She goes back, she that day meets Mr. Bobinski. And he's training these jumping mice to make a circus. Mm-hmm. And she goes on, and everything, she meets him, and she thinks he's really weird. And then after she leaves, he's like this gymnastics guy, so he like jumps down from the top balcony, I guess, and comes down, and he says, the mice, they tell me to tell you, don't go through the little door. And she says, the one behind the wallpaper? It's all bricked up. And he said, oh, sorry, sometimes the mice are a little mixed up. And she goes to bed, and then she goes to the other mother's house again, and this time she sees Miss Fink and Forcible doing like a kind of gymnast act, and there's a thing, and I'm not gonna say more. You'll just have to watch it to see it. I don't want to explain it. It's weird. It's a scene. That's all I'm saying. And then
it's a moment.
Then she goes home. She goes to bed again, and then she sees Mr. Bobinski, and he has his jumping mice performance in this other world. And that time when she tried to go back home, her parents were gone. They were like missing. Her real parents. And she's like, what's going on? And she goes down to Miss Fink and Forcibles in the real world, and she says, I don't know what's wrong, my parents are gone. And I tried calling them and they won't answer. I tried to call my dad using my mom's phone, and then he didn't answer, and then I found his phone was in the car. And so she doesn't know where her parents went. And Miss Fink and Forcible give her like this little triangle with a little hole in it. And they say it's good for to find lost things. And Coraline goes back to the other world and confronts the other mother. And the other mother doesn't like this. And so she shoves her behind this like mirror. And she meets these ghost children that were victims of the other mother, because they let the other mother sew buttons into their eyes and steal their soul, basically. I know, a really dark theme for a kid's movie. But
which almost sounds like Tim Burton. But
it does.
But it's
Henry Selick.
Yeah.
But the story goes on, and eventually Coraline is able to beat the other mother, save the ghost children, and save her parents, who the other mother had trapped. And everything is good. Her parents don't remember anything about being trapped by the other mother. And everything seems to go back to normal. And one of the ghost children that Coraline met in that room was YB's grandmother, aka the owner of the Pink Palace. The ghost that she met was YB's grandma's sister, who had gone missing when YB's grandma and her family lived in the Pink Palace. And that's why typically she wouldn't allow families with kids to move in. Which I remember after I found that out, it was like, well then why'd you let Coraline and her family move in? Like, I want more information. I really need to read the book, because I feel like the book would explain a lot of this. But I know I really liked the movie. When I was younger and I watched it, it kind of scared me. So even though it's PG, I would definitely have, if you're a parent, watch it with your kids. Because if they're younger, like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7, they might get a little scared. But I know I really enjoyed it, and I think even adults could enjoy it. But I'll let my mom tell you her opinion.
I liked it. I will say I do like it. I think it is very dark. So if you like Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, movies like that, then you would like this. If you don't like those movies, then this probably is not a movie for you. And yeah, I would say that if you have little ones, you might want to watch it first before you sit them down in front of it. This was bought for my daughter. I bought it for her, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago or more?
Yeah.
Anyway, and I hadn't seen it, but she had told me, oh, I want to see blah, 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 blah. And so I had got it for her, and it was, I watched it with her the first time we watched it, and I was like, what did I do? But it's not bad, but it is definitely one that I think that a parent should watch first before, especially if you have littler ones. But it is a good movie. There is that kind of dark, rounded edge ofness. And it does have, the fact that these children were, in essence, murdered, I guess, by this other mother. So you have that factor, So, I mean, if this is too deep or too much for you to put in front of a child, then don't feel like you have to watch it. If you're not sure, then I would watch it before you let your kids watch it. I thought it was, the characters are hilarious. Mr. Bobinski is one of my favorite characters. And the cat. I mean, and the old ladies are hilarious too. But and the scene that my daughter is talking about, if you watch the movie, you'll understand. And that's all we're gonna say about that. But anyway, I don't have a lot more to say about the movie, but I will say thank you to our subscribers, new and the ones that have been with us since the beginning. Thank you so very, very much. And thank you to our Patreon subscriber, Marion, also known as Life Unboxed. And if anybody is interested in joining our Patreon, the link will be in the description below. I don't know what else to say. If you like what we have to say, give us a like, hit subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and that way you'll know when we make a new video. I was gonna ask a question. Dakota Fanning plays in this movie. She plays Coraline. Do anybody out there who's listening to our channel know what the name of the movie was that she starred in with Sean Penn? If you do, put the name of the movie in the link in the description. In the comments. In the comments below. Yeah, put it in the description. That would really help. Anyway, and with that, I think we're going to say we'll see you later. And